This week on Head to Head, our top 5 heroes of Star Wars.
You're listening to Head to Head, a Star Wars podcast. 2 fans, 2 generations, all things Star Wars. Begins now.
Hello, everybody. I'm Eric Vancil.
And I'm Daryl Sanders.
And we're your hosts for this podcast. So this is our first podcast of 2019.
Yeah, man. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, too.
It's a great start so far. You know, this is the year of Episode 9. I know everyone's probably tired of hearing us talk about it, but what else is to talk about on the Star Wars show?
Well, I mean, besides that, Episode 9 is arguably one of the biggest things that, you know, I mean, it's a pretty big deal. I mean, sure, there's other stuff in the Star Wars universe, but episode, you know, because one of the things we don't ever talk about is that whole theme park that's opening up.
Yeah, the whole Disney park. Yeah, that's I think once they get done with it, I'm probably gonna try to go down and check it out at some point when we can get time, you know, for my actual jobs and
that's going to be the big key.
But...
Exactly. Did you make any New Year's resolutions?
This year, I did. I think I just want to be more of myself. After this accident, it's kind of like opened some things for me. So I kind of have some quiet things I'm going to do, but definitely I want to get back into the swing of just regular life. And, you know, there are some things that happen in my personal life that I have to address and change. So that's going to be fun and challenging, but that's
well, and then of course you're continuing physically healing.
Yeah, physically healing.
You know, you got to continue doing that.
Absolutely. So,
and I mean, you know, along those same lines, once again, even though I know it's cliche, one of my big New Year's resolutions is to get back in the shape I was like 3 years ago.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
I gained like about 20 pounds, man, and it's like I'm starting to feel, you know, when you start gaining the weight, you don't necessarily feel it because if you're still active, you're still doing this stuff, you don't notice it as much.
Yeah, it's a slow creep. It's like that slow leak in your tire. Like, you don't realize it until, oh, wow, I can't go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like my whole thing is like, you know, you start to notice the clothes aren't fitting quite the way they should anymore. And then you don't look like you used to look. But it's more than that. I just feel
different.
Yeah, just kind of like bloated and everything. It's like I still have some muscle tone because of the job that I have. But still, it's like it's got to go. The 20 pounds has to go.
All right, well, definitely.
Well,
I'll support you on that. When I get back to actually walking
again,
again,
exactly. Right, exactly. Well, let's go to the Cantina. What do you think?
That's good. Well, we won't have any eggnog this time. So.
Right, all diet drinks at the Cantina, everybody.
So today, Leia's role in Episode 9. We're in 2019. Star Wars Episode 9 comes out December. So
we're actually in the year of Episode 9.
In the year. So I was reading some information from Todd Fisher, who is Carrie Fisher's brother, and he's really excited. He's over the moon excited, actually, about her role in Episode 9 because the footage that they actually have is not just outtakes, but is actually footage that looks like it was designed for this movie. It was actually shot well. It's not pigeonholed or, you know, kind of one of those things where you kind of shoot a person over the shoulder and then it's awkward.
Yeah, where it's kind of cheesy, where it's obvious that they're using stunt doubles or something like that.
But it's actual footage from Episode 7 and 8, but mostly I think 7, that they're going to use to actually put into 9. So I think that's really cool, and that's really going to be a good thing for her character and to actually send her off well, because remember, you know, they didn't want to do or they didn't want to replace her with another actress, and they just really wanted to actually have her in the movie and her to be true to her character. So I think that's going to be really cool.
And that, you know what, that's really, really good, because one of the things that had always bothered me when they try to do stuff like that is it actually feels more unnatural than if they just wrote them out of the story.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm happy to say, because I did read that article, and what was really cool about it is that he was saying that it's almost like they shot the stuff yesterday. Like, it literally looks like it belongs in the movie. It's not, you know, because, I mean, I could just see it. It would be one of those things where it's like they have to rewrite the story. Well, they have her on camera saying, you know, yes, or whatever, and it's like, okay, you write a line, so you have, like, Poe saying something like, well, you know, maybe we should go attack that, you know, First Order base. What do you think? And then cut to her going, yes, even though
Yeah.
You know, she was probably just saying that she wanted coffee or something in between takes, and then they cut that into the movie, you know? And
exactly.
those are the kinds of things that I'm really, really afraid of a lot of times.
Well, and with JJ, too, you know, I think JJ loving Star Wars the way that he does, and he knows he has to bring, we keep saying this, but he knows he has to bring this movie home.
Mm-hmm.
And the fans are going to even be more critical because they're coming off of 8, which a lot of people didn't like. And then now with 9, he really has to seal the deal in a way. And with Carrie Fisher not being alive, but you're still going to have her character and her actually in the movie, it has to work because, you know, even some people had issues, although I thought it was pretty good in Rogue One when they actually had Tarkin in there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that was all CG. I mean, I thought that was impressive. But people still said, well, it's still not quite ready there
Yeah, it's
yet.
not quite there yet, Ten. I mean, it's close, though.
It's super
very,
close, yeah.
very, very, very close.
So I think this is a great thing. And the fact that, you know, and Todd is kind of aggressive in some ways. So the fact that he's actually pleased and happy with JJ's direction into
that
this.
really excites me, too, because if you think about it, it's like, if you got him excited about it, and he would probably be the one that's the most skeptical out of anybody.
Yeah, you always need that. If you can please the pessimist, you know, that it's, you know it's good.
You know, we have a friend like that.
Yes, we do.
We make him happy, you know, okay, if he doesn't find anything wrong with it, then you know it's probably a good deal.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, well, what do we got next on the Cantina section this week?
So, I've been meaning to ask you. So, if we took away Obi-Wan Kenobi, Luke Skywalker, and Yoda, who would be your favorite Jedi?
Oh, that's really a tough one. But you know what? I'm going to go with Mace Windu.
Ah, good old Mace.
Because he's just such an interesting character when you think about it. And if you actually read a lot of the new canon novels, in particular Dark Disciple.
Yeah.
Because in Dark Disciple, you really see, no pun intended, a darker version of the Jedi a little bit because, you know, basically Mace is the leader going, no, you gotta, who was it? Oh, it was Asajj Ventress. I couldn't remember if it was, and Dooku as well. You know, where he was just like, okay, you gotta go, you gotta find Dooku, you gotta kill him, it's almost kind of like the whole Palpatine-Anakin exchange. But he was just really adamant about it, like not even bringing people to justice or anything, man. He just wanted them dead.
Well, yeah, you even saw that in Revenge of the Sith because, you know, he had him pinned. He's like, no, he's too powerful to be left alive. Like, and Anakin was like, well, no, he has to go to the courts, and Mace is like, you know, because Mace knows. I clearly
remember in the textbook that you guys yourselves wrote that, you know.
Yeah, it's like, okay, wait a minute, when do we start bending the rules here? But yeah, Mace is kind of, but he even is one of the few people who actually taps into the dark side, even in his lightsaber style and his fighting. You know, he has a whole, I think it's pronounced Vapid or Vapad.
Yeah, it's something like that. And that's a good point because he does not only tap into the dark side, but I mean, it's just like his whole views just kind of, I don't know, they go along the edge a lot of times. And it's really interesting to me because he does it in a different way than some of the other Jedi did.
Yeah, he's kind of like almost like Qui-Gon and Anakin, but then he still has that very stern, like Obi-Wan type thing. And it's weird, but then he's wise as Yoda. I mean, you see why he's on the council, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, that Mace is definitely...
I mean, there's just so many guys to choose from because if you go... you know, all the way into, well, I mean, I'm trying to stick to the canon characters, too, because you can go into a lot of Old Republic people that we're not entirely sure yet that they're
You're right, they've made it over.
Yeah, that they've made the cut, you know, so I've been trying to stick with canon characters.
Yeah, I mean, although Mace would kind of almost be an easy choice for me to make, I'm going to actually go with Plo Koon.
Now, that's a really fascinating choice.
Yeah, Plo Koon to me is always fascinating. Just the look of him, when I first saw him, I was like, well, who is this guy? Because he just looks menacing, but he's a Jedi. It's weird. Like, he almost looks like a weird Sith, but he's actually on the Jedi Council. But I also like the fact that he's kind of sarcastic. He has more of his personality is not so stern. He's kind of easygoing, but he's definitely powerful. He's definitely, because you have different types of people that's on the council. So like Ki-Adi-Mundi is more of a thinker.
He's another one. He's like a really interesting guy too.
Yeah.
Number one, he looks really trippy, but
yeah, it's like Coneheads and Cleon got together and made a Jedi.
Exactly. And the thing about him is that I don't know, he seems like he's a little bit more of a stickler for the code. And,
by the book. And he's like a thinker, and I was reading this this book, and actually they actually talked about like how they select some people on the council, and they were saying that some people are more of the warrior because you need that aspect when it's time to go through these battles and coming up with strategies and things of that nature. But then you need more so the cerebral, the thinkers, the ones who are kind of can see and have more of the foresight into things and kind of can test the temperature, test the waters of certain people's motives and things of that nature. And Ki-Adi-Mundi kind of falls into that. But Plo Koon is kind of like he kind of stands on the fence on that one.
I'm surprised you didn't say Qui-Gon. You're always talking about Qui-Gon and how cool he is. And
well, yeah, Qui-Gon is cool. Qui-Gon, is
he still like a little too cliche though for this?
Yeah.
Like you're trying to stay away from all the main guys.
Yeah, people that everybody kind of knows. Yeah, exactly. That's why, I said like no Obi-Wan and Luke, because of course that's easy to go to. But I think like a lot of the other people that at least that sit on the council, even Kit Fisto, like he's kind of more really laid back and kind of silly. He kind of has fun with being a Jedi almost. He's kind of like the jokester and things like that. So I think that's what's interesting about.
So wait a minute, then you're trying to go after the guys that people don't really know that much about at all.
Well, yeah, and
then I might have to change my answer.
Well, Mesa still fits into that category because we really don't know. We kind of know more about him because of the Clone Wars cartoon, and that you kind of saw Mace.
Well, there's a comic book series too. Although I didn't actually read that one.
I didn't either, but I think you see more of you see him more in action in episode 2 and definitely 3. And then, of course, in the Clone Wars cartoon, he kind of has more of a prominent role in that. And I think even with him, like I would love to see like more background on Mace. Just how did he get to where he is?
Yeah,
because he's very.
That's true. You don't really know.
Yeah, you really don't know. And for him to be number 2 to Yoda, you kind of almost wonder like how powerful.
You don't really know. You don't even really know that much about Yoda if you really stop and think about it.
True. Now,
if I had to give an honorable mention, so like if we go away from all the known guys, he's somewhat known, but I would say Quinlan Vos.
Oh yeah,
he would definitely be in my honorable mention. And again, he's another guy that's a prominent character in Dark Disciples, which, by the way, is an amazing book. If you guys haven't read Dark Disciples, you should. Well, don't stop watching this podcast.
Please don't.
Finish the podcast, but then immediately go and pick up Dark Disciples.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yes,
but end of my commercial. See, I wish I had an affiliate link. I'm trying to get the affiliate links going.
Yeah, well, that would
so that way we could put links into the comment section, so our viewers can just check it out. Yeah, you just click the link and boom, and
there you go.
We get a little bit of money to help offset the cost of this, and it's coming, people. It's coming. But yeah, he's one of the lesser known guys. But you're right, because by that token, Mace could actually fit the same bill because. Mm-hmm. We see him a lot. He's a prominent guy, but we don't really know that much about him.
Right, and he's kind of has this.
He's mysterious.
Yeah, he's very mysterious. Like
you gotta wonder what happened in his past.
Because he's weird. Like he's oddly cool. Like he's like nothing seems to take him off of his square, but at the same time. He always seems like he's in a state of readiness, like he's just ready to go, like at a drop of a hat. The
thing about him is there's something very menacing. That's how I would describe him. He's a really menacing.
Yeah, he's very intimidating.
Yeah, and there's something
like
something going underneath the surface. Yeah. Well, actually, there was an employer I used to have that kind of had the same vibe, too.
Yeah, I know you're talking about, yeah. We keep out these names.
Yeah, right. So the question is, do you guys know who you are if you're watching? Well, okay, that made no sense.
Yeah. But hey, it's the new year. This is what we do. So, Yeah, I think my definite choice is Plo Koon. Plo Koon to me is really interesting. I would love to see more of all of the guys on the council, but especially him. Like, I think he's really interesting and definitely Mace Windu. He's also another one.
It'd be kind of cool if they did a TV series based on the Jedi Council, or at least the people that make up the Jedi Council.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what I'm saying. I think if Disney were to go in that direction, which I hope and think that they are as far as a new streaming service, that they start creating content based around Star Wars and start doing like almost, even if they want to get the fans involved, like if fans can create something that's really, really, good, almost like, a little Bird Box, if you will. This is like the new craze or something, but...
It was a good movie, though.
It was. Yeah, I did check that out. I was like...
I mean, I loved it. That should have actually been our little banter thing beforehand, is the Bird Box.
We should have just did this podcast blindfolded.
Oh, in honor of Bird Box, we shouldn't have done a video. The audio only, right?
Exactly. So, but that's it for that. But my next thing I want to talk to you about...
Wait, before you do that, though, we always forget to do this. So let us know who your favorite Jedi is.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, put it in the comments section below or write us at head-to-head-SW on either Twitter or Facebook and let us know what you guys are thinking. Who's your favorite Jedi? Even going back to the Leia thing. What do you guys think we're going to see as far as Leia goes? Do you think... I mean, we know her role is going to be big, but do you guys think that her role is going to be really important, or do you think that it's just going to casually move the story along? Let us know in the comment section.
Definitely.
Now we can go to the next Cantina segment.
Thank you.
2019.
I know, man. Happy New Year. So, do you think JJ will redeem Kylo in Episode 9?
I hope not. Well, no, I won't say that. Actually, you know what's funny? It's totally cliche, but I kind of hope they do. Because to me, my favorite part of Episode 8 was when he teamed up with Rey, and they were kind of on the same side there for a second. I thought that was such a cool dynamic. Mm-hmm. The other thing I wouldn't mind seeing is that Kylo be redeemed, but Rey go dark, because that would make it different from what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, I definitely would like... I would actually like to see the latter, because it would be weird, especially for Luke.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, it's like he would have a Padawan who went dark come back to light, but then had one light go to dark.
And then have Kylo try to reach her.
But see, then,
having been on the dark side, and it's like, that would just, I mean, it would screw everything up. Now, I don't think they're going to do this, only because this is Episode 9, and they're probably not going to have any movies for a while.
Yeah, and I was saying,
so you can't do that.
You can't end it at that, right?
Well, because even if you did that in the middle of the movie, let's say, right, you would have to somehow wrap it up. What you could do, though, is you could have it to where, like, maybe she goes dark for a little bit and then comes back, and maybe Kylo and Luke together pull her back. Now, yeah. that would be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't want to see Kylo come back to the light. I think, because at this point, who's going to be your bad guy?
Well, we don't know. There might actually be another bad guy out there. We know from the Force Awakens novel that Snoke had another apprentice. Now, of course, they have thrown out certain sections of the novel, like, for instance, at the end of the Force Awakens novel, Poe and Rey actually met, but then in the movies, they didn't meet until 8, so you do have to take that with a grain of salt. But that said, you could still play with it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like Kylo needs to pick a side and just stay there. I think that, okay, we saw his temptation. Well, we didn't really see it, but we know of his temptation to the dark side. We kind of saw why he went that way.
But not entirely, though, because if you think about it, so he kills Han Solo. Spoiler alert. So he kills Han Solo, but then in the very next movie, he's about to fire on Leia, and he can't do it.
Yeah, but...
So it's sort of like he's still having that tug of war in there somehow.
True. Yeah, and what I'm saying is that we saw how he came to be in the sense of, okay, he thought Luke was trying to kill him because he thought he was jealous of his power or whatnot, and or he feared his power.
So, I mean, he really wasn't even trying to be. I mean, I guess he was kind of. It was almost like an Anakin thing. He went dark because he thought the Jedi were not all they were cracked up to be.
You know, Snoke probably planted his seeds in his head about
much
stuff.
like Palpatine
exactly.
did in Anakin.
Exactly. And then, of course, when you start to doubt yourself and when you're doubting who you are and what people's intentions are, especially when you know you have a lot of power. And that's the crazy thing about power is that when you know that you have an ability to do something, but people kind of and pull your coattails and say, no, not yet. No, not yet.
Notice how he has the red background? And he wants everybody going dark?
Hey. Welcome.
The light.
Welcome.
Come on. I should pull the wipe in this thing to where we're like tugging it, you know?
I'm going to wear like a hood next time. But
there you go.
But yeah, I just think that, you know, when you have that type of power and people are pulling your coattails, you know, it's very hard, especially when you're young and you don't understand why I can't do something. And when I know I have the ability to do it.
Well, it is difficult if you find yourself with a lot of power. I mean, one of the things that I think the Jedi try to instill in all these Padawans when they're kids is the fact that, like, look, you know, you have to responsibly use this power. You have to, you know, you have to control it. You have to resist a lot of things. Because it's true, yeah, if you suddenly woke up one day and you had the power to, you know, even just the telekinetic powers, where you can push things away or pull them towards you or whatever. I mean, you'd want to go out and use that every day.
Well, yeah, and it also kind of...
I'd be doing stupid stuff with it. I'd be, like, reaching out, trying to get the remote.
Yeah, and it's like, of course, people are like, well, what's wrong with that? But inherently, it makes you lazy.
Yep.
Because it's like, well, why get up when I can just use the Force?
You know, somebody, like, crosses you at the mall or something like that, and you just give them, like, the biggest Force push and just shove them into a wall or something. And...
Wait, we haven't got to that one. But, yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, I think that's just... the thing with Kylo, though, and I think that with Kylo being as unstable as he is, I think that just makes it just a cool dynamic for a villain in Star Wars, is that everyone in Star Wars always seems to be relatively calm. You know, Palpatine was calm,
of the things, yeah.
Vader was calm, you know, Tarkin is, you know, you make Anakin ready. Like everybody's because they have all this power and they don't fear anything because they know they have the ability to just destroy anything they want. But Kylo has the same power, and yet he just gets so frustrated with stuff.
Well, the thing that I find that's funny, is number one, it's almost like he's around a bunch of idiots or something, and he just wants to kill them, but he knows he can't. The other thing that I find really interesting about the whole Kylo-Anakin dynamic is Kylo represents, to me, what Anakin would have become if he had just kept being so whiny and emotional and...
Episode 2 Anakin.
Yeah, right. If he was Episode 2 Anakin, but he had grown and become Vader as Episode 2 Anakin, it would have just been, well, he would have been Kylo. And that's what I think makes Kylo such an interesting villain, is the fact that this guy is so unstable.
Yeah, he's so
unhinged. Like you said, we have never seen that ever in any kind of a Sith or really even any of the Jedi, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, because like
everybody's usually so controlled.
Thrawn, Tarkin.
Yeah, they're all
Vader,
calculating.
Palpatine. Yeah, everybody's just kind of like, they just move with a certain confidence because I'm the man and I know it. Whereas Kylo is like, I should be the man, but why am I not?
Well, and if you think about it, his Tarkin is basically Hux, and Hux is even like unhinged. He's a little unstable. Look at that whole speech that he gave, you know, in The Force Awakens, and he's just all like shaking and spitting. And, you know, he's trying to rile the troops up. Yeah, they're kind of like the Suicide Squad version of, like, you know, Vader and Tarkin. You know, they're kind of like the Harley Quinn Joker of the New Order. Well, the First Order.
Yeah, and then Snoke seems to be the only real. Even he's a little agitated.
Yeah,
he's not. He's still calm, but he's agitated. At Kylo.
Yeah, if you actually think about it,
everybody's kind of
a really weird dynamic.
Yeah, everybody's kind of just ticked off for whatever reason.
You know, and what would be cool is if they had to like fight the Knights of Ren. So if Kylo had to go up against his own, you know, guys, because I'm convinced the Knights of Ren in some form or fashion are going to be in this movie.
Oh yeah, definitely, and I think it's kind of been more or less loosely confirmed that that's going to happen because, and I was even reading that even the silver part of Kylo's mask, that's actually indicative of the Knights of Ren because in their armor.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, actually, my grandmother, for Christmas, since we were talking about the New Year.
He has had this thing, by the way, on the table for a while. He's been dying to show this to you guys.
Don't judge me. But yeah, my grandmother got me this wonderful Star Wars encyclopedia for Christmas. And
another thing we could have had an affiliate link to.
Exactly.
It's coming. It's coming.
But even in this book, they were kind of just talking about Kylo's mask and how.
All right, so that's how I was like, where did you get this information from?
Aha. See, kids, it's important to read.
That's right. Always read.
So I think that's just going to have to happen, especially since we saw them in episodes 7, and they just look cool. I mean, they almost look like, from what we could see, they almost kind of look like a weird version of Inquisitors.
Yeah.
That's what they kind of remind me of.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a good point.
And so I just would love to see them, go after Rey, and I think that's where Kylo's going to go, because he's going to be so busy trying to reestablish the First Order after they've taken such a big loss with everything. He can't necessarily dedicate his time to going after Rey because he knows she's out there. Yep. So he's probably going to just send the Knights of Ren, like, look, go find her, go get her, kill her if you have to, that type of thing. So I just hope Kylo just stays dark, in this movie.
Well, we'll see come December. But
what do you guys think? Do you think guys think that he should stay dark, or should he come to the light side? So
nothing. Carry on. Don't look on this side of the screen. Just
hey. So definitely leave us your comments and hit us up on Twitter. Hit us up on all of our social media platforms. We'd love to hear from you, and definitely just tell us what you think. We'd love to hear about any of these topics that we've talked about at the Cantina. So
that's right. Just look down here somewhere.
Yeah, in that
I have all these nice lower thirds to help you guys out. All right, so we're leaving the Cantina.
Yeah.
What do we got? What do we got next?
So you kind of alluded to it. So for our Duel of the Fates, we're going to ask Sith or Bounty Hunter.
Sith or Bounty Hunter?
Yeah, so we kind of talked about the Force powers a little bit. So, you're talking about Force pushing people in at the grocery store and everything. So that's definitely a Sith move. Or you could be a bounty hunter like Cad Bane, Jango Fett, Boba Fett, IG-88. I know that's one of your favorite, Bosk.
Well, it's funny because if you go by, whenever I do any kind of an RPG style game, whether it's Elder Scrolls, Fallout, the old days, Might and Magic, any of that stuff, I was always kind of like this neutral guy that was just going through wherever it was, and it was like an opportunistic type of a thing. I was a total opportunist. I would go through, somebody has a quest, I'd be like, okay, I'll take it if it benefits me. Mm-hmm. I would do bad things. I would try to be somewhat honorable about it because, I like to think I'm a nice guy. So I always like to play something that's a little...
I'm going to get beat up after camera.
Yeah, right? Yeah, episode 21, you're all like bandaged up.
Yeah, right.
I could do that too because you're handicapped.
Exactly.
Right? This is my big chance.
Kick me while I'm down. I got
right.
you.
But no, the thing is that I would always try to do that because I always thought it was interesting. Now, on the other side of this, I'm taking the long way around this question. On the other side of this, you do have the Sith, and the Sith were always just like really cool to me because they don't really care. I mean, they're power hungry. They just want to do what they want to do, and they think nothing of using the Force to actually further their agenda. It just so happens that their agenda is evil, but if a bounty hunter would almost be like a Sith if he had Force powers, in the sense of he would use the powers to further his own agenda, but he wouldn't necessarily be, I guess, so evil. It would be more neutral. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a tough decision because on one hand, I would like to have the Force powers. But on the other hand, if I go by like the style that I would usually play whenever I would do the RPG style game or something like that, I'm going to go with Sith.
All that to say.
Yeah, I know. It's a twist ending, but I mean, the problem that I have with being a bounty hunter in the Star Wars universe, and again, you got Cad Bane, you got Jango and Boba Fett, you have Bossk, you have IG-88. I can go down the line because I know a lot of the bounty hunters, and they're pretty formidable guys. I mean, they go up against Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I mean, on one hand, you know what? I'm going to go with bounty hunter.
Yep. I saw it in your head.
You know
when you
what?
Were like,
no,
you know what? They can go against Jedi.
I had to think about it because, you know, one of the things that I try to do, because you come up with these Duel the Fates topics, you send me the outlines. I try to purposely, that one, I try not to study it. Because one of the beautiful parts I think about our discussions, you know, whenever we would get into Star Wars discussions, you're not calling me up going, hey, man, tomorrow at work I want to talk about, you know, whatever. No, the stuff comes up and, you know, it's a spur of the moment thing. And I didn't really want this segment, the Duel of the Fates, to be too pre-planned. So as I'm talking through it, I'm realizing that I like the camaraderie that bounty hunters have. You know, a lot of times they'll go in groups. They all sort of know each other. They have this professional courtesy. You know, there's a definite, almost tribal mentality.
I could definitely see you as a bounty hunter. Just knowing you personally, like, I think the way you think and the way how your mind works, and, you know, I think that's just.
Well, it would be fun. It would be exciting. Honestly, I think that's the reason why.
Your speed,
Yeah, and The Mandalorian, I think the reason why that series is going to attract a lot of people, I mean, outside of just Star Wars fans I'm talking about, I think the reason why it's going to attract a lot of people is because there's a certain openness to it. You know, you're a simple man making your way around the universe, you know? And there's a lot of different adventures and stories and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think for me, although I love bounty hunters because, like you said, there's an openness. Unlike the Sith, you know, you kind of have to conform to a religion almost, like much like the Jedi. I mean, they have rules and things that bounty hunters kind of do too.
Well, even more so, one of the differences between Jedi and Sith is, you know, with Jedi there are no real absolutes. With Sith there are absolutes. So yeah, you're right. You would have to
kind of conform to certain things. And the thing about a bounty hunter is that he could kind of set his schedule. He could kind of do it when he wants to. He has more freedom.
He could change sides too.
Yeah, it just whichever just serves him better, or whichever was going to offer him the most money, or whatever the case may be. Because I've always wished, and it would have been interesting to see Jedi employ bounty hunters. Like, I would love to have seen, like, what if the council just called up IG-88? Well, the
Sith would actually employ them.
Sith, yeah, because we saw it in Empire when they did it and they were looking for the Millennium Falcon. But I'm just talking about a Jedi. Like, I don't recall ever knowing of a situation where the Jedi called upon bounty hunters to seek out somebody they were looking for.
There might have been, but I can't think of any offhand.
But I think ultimately, based upon my personality, hence why you have the red behind me, is definitely Sith. Because
what a shock!
It's because I think, well, definitely I love the power. I would love the power of it. And then I think that based upon my background, you know, doing the whole martial arts things, it's kind of, I'm used to studying under somebody in systems and things of that nature.
But bounty hunters are really good at hand-to-hand combat, though.
They are, but I'm talking about like
you're
the
talking
philosophy
about, studying under a system.
And
actually, well, this is also a really, and I might have even chosen a different thing. It's like if you said Jedi Sith versus bounty hunter, but you were really specific, which I think you did, because bounty hunters are usually on the wrong side of the law.
Yeah, they're a little bit more scurrilous.
A little bit, yeah. You know, and I mean, that's one of the things that's interesting about bounty hunters, is that bounty hunters can go back and forth. Like Benicio del Toro's character in The Last Jedi. You know, I almost wouldn't mind seeing.
Yeah, because he's almost kind of like.
He's kind of interesting.
Yeah, he kind of, you know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Hondo.
Yeah.
That's exactly. And Hondo's like another, like one of those guys where I guess you could kind of say he helped the Jedi out in some occasions, but, you know, at the same time.
And they're popping up in Star Wars Resistance, by the way. Not Hondo hasn't, but bounty hunters have.
Okay.
Again, I haven't made any. Remember last time I said I'm like 4 or 5 episodes in? Yeah, like 0 progress. None whatsoever.
Gotcha.
But it is on my list of things to do.
I mean, you're busy.
New Year's resolution, number 2, watch the rest of Resistance. But it's a good show, and it just shows you that bounty hunters have a place in all areas of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, I mean, in real life, bounty hunters are actually a part of law and order here.
Like law enforcement.
Law enforcement. But, in the Star Wars galaxy, they kind of just...
Oh, they're almost like pirates.
Yeah, they're kind of just, they have the skill set that everybody kind of knows. And, you just hope that you don't do anything to people where people will put out bounty out on you.
Well, an interesting thing, too, is that if you actually look at the system, right? So, like in the Force user category, you have Jedi, you have Sith, you have a couple other categories that are a little bit more neutral. Mm-hmm. But you do have other dark side and other light side users other than the Jedi and Sith. But with the bounty hunter style classification, I guess you could just call it outlaws.
Yeah.
You had the smugglers. Mm-hmm. You had the bounty hunters. You had the pirates. Yep. So you actually have a whole hierarchy.
You got whole gangs too, like Black Sun and all
well,
that.
Well, and a lot of those are those are the criminal organizations that would employ a lot of these people. But in the outlaw type of a thing, where they're not necessarily organized, maybe somewhat, it's like pirates, smugglers, and bounty hunters. And there might be some more too. If I'm forgetting any, let me know. But I mean, to me, it's like a lot of people don't really explore all those possibilities or the stories or anything like that. Everybody's so focused on the Jedi versus the Sith, or the Rebellion versus the Empire, or the First Order versus the Resistance, or the New Republic.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. So, I mean, I think that's...
Well, that was a true Duel of the Fates. Yeah. True head-to-head style.
Absolutely. And we'll definitely love to hear, which one you would prefer. Would you prefer to be a bounty hunter, or would you prefer to be a Sith Lord? Come to the dark side.
Bounty hunters make money.
Hey now. Hey, well,
yeah, but let us know. Leave it in the comment section below, and hit us on Head-to-Head SW at our Twitter page or Facebook.
Definitely. All right.
So we're moving right along.
So next we have From a Certain Point of View.
Yes, our feature topic.
Yep. So
once again, and I didn't put a whole lot of thought into this either. I want you to know that.
Yeah, I didn't either. I kind of wanted to come off the dome with this one.
Good. It's probably going to be like dead air. We're going to be sitting there like trying to think. People are going to be like forwarding through, and we're still just like...
Just put the little SpongeBob up 3 hours later.
Yeah, exactly. Like dissolve or something. It's like, yeah, still, I don't know, guys.
Well, yeah, for this week, we have our top 5 heroes of Star Wars. You want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Okay, Poe.
See what I did there?
I did see what you did there.
You could be a light side guy every time.
Might have to change your color to green over there. Well, I mean, I don't care. You want to go first? You can go first.
Okay.
It gives me time to sip this delicious Abso Pure water.
Product placement.
Man, we need those affiliate links.
So, top 5 heroes. I'm going to go with, I do have to be in specific.
Well, you know what? And we could do this. This would be fun. Let's do this together. So go ahead and you'll state your number. Oh, and here's the thing.
Are we going from 5 to 1 or 1 to 5?
See, that's what I was just going to ask. Guess we should have talked about that before this, huh? Let's go. You know what? We don't necessarily have to go in any particular order. What we could do is you could just say a hero, one of your 5, right? Say why, and I'll do the same thing.
All right, cool. Until we get to 5.
Right.
All right. Awesome. All right.
We'll just say number, the first one.
So I'll go. My first one would be Han Solo.
Same here. In fact, Han Solo would probably be my number 1. If I were going to put this in some sort of a like literally top 5, he would probably be my number 1.
Okay.
And a lot of it can go back to the whole conversation we just had about bounty hunters and, which of course we were talking about smugglers. Because one of the things that I thought was cool about Han Solo was he wasn't like a pure good guy, but yet he always did the right thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a good life lesson in there, but it's also just, it made him interesting to me.
Yeah, I think that's what made Han very interesting is because he didn't have a side. He just kind of was doing this thing, but he kind of saw the need, and there's a part of him that's like, you know what? These people, the Empire, make our lives difficult. And I'm in the position to actually do something about it. And, I'm attracted to this princess, so, this adds cool points.
Yeah, because, I mean, he went through, like, basically what it comes down to, which is what a lot of smugglers do, is they find themselves with a particular skill, and they're like, okay, this is a somewhat oppressive environment. I have to somehow make some money. It's a little shady, but I could do this, and he's just out to benefit himself, and, of course, Chewbacca. And I think that that's just, one of those things that you're always getting that tug of war, because on one hand, everybody wants him to help the rebellion and fight the war and all that. He just wants to pay off his debts and find a nice, easy, graceful way out. But he's always pulled back in because his conscience always tells him, like, no, these guys would, they're going to die if I don't help them out. So he never quite leaves. And then, of course, that causes him actual issues for Return of the Jedi, because then he's captured. If you think about it, if he had been able to leave, around the time after Empire, well, it would actually be like more the beginning, which he tried to.
Yeah, he was supposed to.
But let's just say that the Falcon didn't crap out on him and he was able to get out of there. He could have gone back.
True.
He could have just paid off the debt. Jabba would have been cool. He could have gone back to fight with the rebellion. Everything would have been fine.
Yeah, I think, Han is definitely a cool one. I think his attitude towards things is quite hilarious, too.
Yeah, and he's humorous.
Yeah, he's
always
hilarious.
Making jokes about stuff. He's kind of like the Spider-Man of the Star Wars universe.
Kind of like almost like a Tony Stark in a way. Like he's
there you go.
Good. Like he knows he's good, but he's kind of sarcastic. Especially like one of the things when one of my favorite lines by him was in Empire. He's like, well, you wanted to be around when I made a mistake.
Yeah,
she's like,
exactly.
I'll take that back. That just how cool he was in that, even in that situation, like he's navigating through an asteroid field. So definitely Han Solo. All right, cool. Well, you got the next one.
Luke Skywalker.
Definitely, he's on my list.
He has to make it in.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, he's like practically a Jedi Grandmaster at this point. And I mean, let's face it, Luke, even though at first when I was growing up, he wasn't as interesting of a character to me because it was the typical, ultra good guy, and he's trying to overcome the bad guy. It was kind of that sort of thing. But when you really get into Luke's psychology through the whole series, and then especially when you hit The Last Jedi, that's where I thought Rian Johnson really gave us an interesting version of Luke Skywalker that even though as a fan we might not have really wanted after 30 years, it really made the most sense and honestly was the most interesting, I thought.
Yeah, I definitely could.
Disillusioned Luke Skywalker is something we're not used to.
Well, yeah, man, and it's one of those things where you look at, heroes as you don't see the Boy Scout hero almost kind of have like, what, why am I doing this moment? It's kind of like that one, I can't remember which one it was, like when the Superman movie where he got sick and
3.
Yeah, I think okay. And he was just kind of like, screw it, I kind of don't want to do this anymore. He's missing out on his whole life that he probably could have with Lois, and he's just kind of like, look, man, you kind of see him as Superman and Clark kind of just go through that phase, and I think Luke went through the same thing. But the thing that I really loved about Luke was episode 6. his maturation in that movie.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like just watching like how confident he was, and then his wisdom. And like even when he was confronting Vader, like he had no fear. Like him giving himself up to his
well, I think that's
to
because
Vader,
he was
just
he had a mission, he had a goal,
mm-hmm.
and he was going to see that through. And that's the thing that is very admirable about Luke is the fact that he knows the right thing to do, and he's going to do it.
Yeah, I just love his wisdom about it and how, he just kind of fearless, in that one. Just,
well, that's what made him cool in the Legends novels, and then even in the new canon novels.
Yeah.
He almost suffers that Superman problem.
Yeah.
He's just so powerful, and he doesn't fear really much of anything,
mm-hmm.
or at least he doesn't seem to. And everybody's like, oh, don't worry, Luke will take care of it, which is probably true.
Yeah.
And the other thing that makes him interesting, too, is if you...
He kind of made a point in that in 8, like, what, I'm going to just walk out there with a laser sword and...
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the kind of thing that if you actually juxtapose his journey with Anakin's, they're similar. They both really worshiped the Jedi when they were kids, because Luke, he didn't really know too much about him like Anakin did, obviously, because Anakin was growing up during their
heyday,
their absolute zenith. But, once he found out what the Jedi were all about and that his dad was one, a typical kid, he wanted to do it too.
Mm-hmm.
And then he came to really almost worship the whole Jedi way and think that was like the way to go. And then tragedy struck.
Right.
And then he saw firsthand. One of the things that I thought was really interesting about the whole thing in episode 8 too was the fact that once his, Kylo turned on him and he had a section of students that turned on him, and that's where you get the Knights of Ren from, he saw firsthand how it turned around for Obi-Wan and Yoda and all them in the Old Republic. Because I'm sure he was probably wondering, well, how did everything turn so quickly?
Mm-hmm.
And he got a little bit of an insight because it happened to him too. And I don't think he thought it would happen to him.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was that, number 2?
That's number 2.
Yeah, we're going to have to zip through these.
All right. 3, I'm going to go with Finn. I'm going to go with Finn because I thought it was very interesting to see a stormtrooper defect. I think that was a cool twist.
I'll go with him too. He'll be on the list.
Yeah, and then on top of that, like his personality is just hilarious to me. Like he's like, okay, he's kind of that fast talker, and he's just wants to just get the heck out of there. He's just trying to get out of Dodge. And, the stuff that he says is almost kind of like what a real person would say. Like, why does everybody want to keep going back to Jakku? Like, let's move away from here and let's just start life.
I mean, there's so many heroes to choose from, too. Just thinking about it. But, yeah, his is an interesting story because, yeah, he was a stormtrooper.
Yeah, and it's just like he defected and he didn't even have a name, and that's just, he's trying to figure out who he is and where his place is in the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
But he knows right from wrong because from the outset, he couldn't even shoot at, when they actually had all the village people standing, and he couldn't fire a single shot because he just knew it was wrong. And from that point on, he's been running ever since, but he's still trying to find his place, and he has people in his life who's kind of trying to show him and push him like, hey, you're more
if you
than this.
Think about it, he kind of has a whole Han, Luke, and Leia vibe all wrapped up into one character.
I agree.
Because, he has that nobility and that sense to do right like Luke does. He kind of has that sense of humor and opportunism that Han does, and then kind of Leia's whole vibe.
Yeah.
As far as some of her...
The toughness almost.
The toughness, the political leanings, some of the humor.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that he kind of represents a lot of those different characters.
Okay. You're up.
Because you might actually have one of them, which is going to be weird, because if I say one, and then you say one that's on the list, well, all right. So, number 4 for me, it's going to be a little bit strange. R2-D2.
I could see that.
Because, R2-D2 unmistakably has saved them in key moments that you can point to things that if he hadn't acted when he did or did what he did, it would have been over.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, R2-D2 has pulled their butts out of the fire on numerous occasions.
Yeah, and he's an unsung hero. It's like it's not even that they would have been maybe better off. They literally would have been dead if he had not done what he did, and not just on one occasion, but several occasions.
Yeah.
Plus,
from Phantom Menace, from
Phantom Menace all the way.
Yep.
And everybody forgets that he never got his memory erased. He actually has like all this knowledge of everything that happened. You know, I mean, if he wanted to, he could start telling Luke all these stories about his dad. He could, I mean, there's so many things that he knows.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing that, you know, when they mention Vader around him, like, you know, R2 knows. So it's, you know.
Well, not only, I mean, you do that, right? But then you also think in terms of his bravery.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he wants to be right there, man. He doesn't care about the consequences or anything. And that's true in the prequels. It's true in the original trilogy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know, I mean, granted, we don't see him a whole lot in the sequel trilogy, but, you know, he's around.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Qui-Gon.
Okay.
Qui-Gon Jinn definitely is one of my favorite
heroes.
He's
another one. Like I said, this is a tough list for me.
Yeah.
Because I can go with just about anybody and make a case for them.
True. Yeah, Qui-Gon Jinn is cool because I think he's kind of he's the maverick. He's the guy who the rules are kind of like guidelines for him, and he looks at it.
He's kind of like the Han Solo, a Jedi. Like if Han Solo were a Jedi, he'd be Qui-Gon.
Yeah, and he just kind of has this. He's confident. He kind of uses the Force to his advantage, as we saw in the Phantom Menace.
The Chance Cube.
Chance Cube, and even
well, he tried to use it on Watto.
Well, even during the pod race, there's this one scene where you see him and he's actually like using the Force to help Anakin. Mm-hmm. When that little thing was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, most people missed that little scene, but he's actually using the Force at that moment. But so I think he's kind of one of the unsung heroes. And the fact because, you know, he made sure that, okay, Anakin was trained because he just saw something in him. Mm-hmm. And, you know, despite what the council thought, you know, he just went with his gut. And he trained Obi-Wan pretty well, too. So I'll definitely go with Qui-Gon.
All right. Well, my number 5 is going to be Lando. Lando. He's another one of those guys that, you know, granted, there are other heroes that you can probably make the case for would be, I don't know. But he's another guy that you can look at. He kind of has that other side of the coin to Han Solo where, again, there was an opportunistic moment and he took it and he regretted it. And then he actually righted the wrong. You know, he went and helped and rescued Han. He became a hero of the rebellion. And we're seeing a lot more of Lando now. I mean, besides the fact that his character was resurrected a little bit in Rebels, of course, in the Solo movie, now Billy D. Williams is going to reprise the role yet again in Episode 9, so we're going to see what other things and what other story arcs we're going to learn about him in 9. But I think that all that stuff cements his place in the hero universe. I think a lot of times, and let's not forget that he was the guy that essentially destroyed the second Death Star.
Yeah, that is true. And he also stole Han's clothes.
A little shady, but at least he didn't. At least they got rid of the cape room.
So that's what made he's a hero.
There was no more cape room in the Millennium Falcon.
That's true. I think I'm going to go with Yoda.
Well, yeah. I mean, that would be
like I have to go with my green friend. I mean, Yoda's to me, he's by far like I know earlier we were talking about, you know, our favorite Jedi, and if I couldn't use him, but that is my favorite. Just simply because I just love his wisdom. I just love, you know, just how he explains things and how he just is always in a state of assurance. Yoda is and then of course he's just super powerful. Like when you see how powerful he is in Episode 2. you're just like, oh, okay, so this is what Yoda was like in his heyday. Like, he was no joke.
I should have been like, I'm going with Rose. No, but I mean, here's the thing, and it's a good point, because look, there's a lot of heroes to choose from. We haven't even touched upon people that are in the novels and the comics and all that, but
These other movies like,
but sure, there's
Jen
Poe,
Erso.
Jen Erso, there's Leia,
Yep.
there's Chewbacca, Obi-Wan. I mean, it's endless, and you can make a case for all these people. And again, you guys will have to tell us if you agree with our list or if you disagree with our list or certain elements of it, or
just whatever your list may be.
Yeah, what are your lists? What are your top 5 heroes? Put your top 5 heroes in the comments section. Give us your top 5 heroes on our Twitter page at HeadToHeadSW or on Facebook. We would love to hear from you, because this is the kind of thing that we live for.
Absolutely.
All right.
Well,
it's time for
your favorite.
One of my favorite segments that we lovingly call Clear Your Mind. This is where we take questions from you guys. And I love the questions that you guys submit, because sometimes they're not easy. So, who's our first one?
Well, our first question comes from Rick McCassell. His question is, do you think they would try to make Lando Calrissian Finn's father? I'm guessing there's someone for episode 9.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. There's a number of reasons why I don't think that. Number one, when the stormtroopers were taken, they were taken from parents and things like that. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense that Lando's kid would become a stormtrooper. Now, if he had been like a teenager and he was rebellious and he was just like, okay, I don't want to deal with you guys. But remember, Finn was actually raised in there. Now, you could make the argument that, okay, his kid was taken from him or he abandoned him or whatever, and then they got a hold of him.
Or, Lando was the lover man back in the day, so maybe he had a kid and he didn't know that he might find out, like, wait, one of those like Star Wars Maury moments.
Yeah,
I know
exactly.
you are not the father. But I mean, it could
put his lightsaber where it doesn't belong.
Well, he shouldn't have one either.
That's right.
But I don't think so. I think Lando's role is going to be completely different. I think Lando is really going to be more of an assistance to Leia. I think because she needs somebody who she can trust reasonably to help rebuild everything, and somebody who's been there is Lando. Like, Lando was there blowing up the Death Star, like you said. He was there on, of course, with Bespin and the Empire. So he knows what these organizations and the Empire can do. And so she's going to need somebody who really truly understands that, especially with a lot of
he was a general too.
Yeah,
so,
that is.
He has
true.
experience in that. They're down to nothing. He might have actually, because we know it's a year between 8 and 9. So he could have answered the distress call in that time.
And, like Lando said, in Return of the Jedi, you need all the help you can get. Even though he was talking about the Falcon at that time, but
the other thing is, hey, now that Han's out of the way,
they better not do that.
Well, unless depending on what kind of footage they actually had from 7 and 8, they really can't do it at this point.
Well, true.
Unless they really, then they'd have to digitally alter stuff probably. But it will be interesting to see exactly. But I don't think Finn is gonna be related to Lando in any way.
Yeah, me either.
All right, who's next?
All right, the next one comes from Michael Looper. He says, I think Padme dying of a broken heart is dumb. Any chance of JJ changing that in episode 9, since he wants to connect all the movies? So what he's talking about is, for those who may not have seen the prequels, at the end of episode 3, Leia dies from a broken heart, or
Leia.
Well, not Leia. I'm sorry, Padme. Padme dies from a broken heart. I thought it was stupid too, but I just think it should have just been a complication from birth because Anakin was choking her. That should have been the explanation.
Well, and that could very well be. I mean, there's a lot of people that have suggested the theory that it was actually Palpatine that reached out to the Force and killed her in order to drive, Anakin over the edge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that would be...
Well, it was kind of like an ultimate failure because remember, his whole obsession was to protect her.
Right, because he didn't want her to die like his mother.
Right, and then not only does he end up force choking her, but then if she died and, Palpatine lies and says, you killed her in your anger and all that, which he did, then that's what you get. It's like it makes him even more enraged and then he becomes the perfect. And because we found out in Vader 25 that he essentially created Anakin through Shmi, then, why not kill Padme too?
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting if JJ touches on that. I think he has his hands full with other stuff.
Well, the problem is, I know everybody is obsessed with this whole thing, like, oh, he's got to connect the movies. First of all, he never actually said that. It was an interview where he was talking about something or whatever, and it was something that he was alluding to or something. I remember reading in the story that he actually didn't say, I'm going to connect all the movies. But I think it was implied with whatever he was saying. But even if he did say that, even if that was a quote, it doesn't mean that he's got to sit there and physically try and connect every little aspect.
Right.
I think it's just going to be the overarching theme is going to connect the entire saga together and, neaten it up. But yeah, I don't envy him at all.
Yeah, me either.
I'm waiting to judge the results, though.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, we'll definitely give our opinions on
Yeah, we'll
this.
give our opinions on it. Don't screw it up, JJ.
But yeah, I think that's it. I don't believe that he's going to address that. I think he's, like I said, he has bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
Especially dealing with a lot of the stuff from 8, that people want answers for. He's not going to really worry about Padme.
No.
But that wraps up the show for today.
All right. Well, don't forget to tell us what you think of today's show in the comments section. And, if you have any ideas for any other shows, you can leave that in there as well.
Yeah, definitely hit us up on Facebook and on Twitter at Head to Head SW. We'd love to hear from you. Drop your comments below. Happy New Year again, man.
All right, man. Yeah, Happy New Year. This is the first episode of 2019. We're rolling. We got the video going. Things are good.
12 months until...
12 months?
12 months until 9.
Or 11 and a half, really.
Oh.
So, yeah, it should be cool. So, that's going to do it for our show today. I'm Eric Vancil.
I'm Daryl Sanders.
May the Force be with you.
Always.
Head to Head, a Star Wars podcast. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at HeadToHeadSW. Submit your questions for our next show. Visit our official website at headtoheadswpodcast.com. Until next time, may the Force be with you, always.